Good evening, payroll students. We are ready to look at Chapter 4. So again, I thought we would do just a couple of homework problems together as some examples. So I'm in the Chapter 4 practice. The biggest part of Chapter 4, of course, is calculating federal income tax withholding. And as you probably read through and understand now, there are two methods. We have the percent method and the wage bracket method. The wage bracket method is the easier method because you're actually just taking their salary, looking it up on a table to return the value or the amount that is being withheld. However, it does have income limits, which we will see in this first problem. So we can't always use the wage bracket method. And we'll see that below. We do have 5 employees, and on 4 of them we can, and on 1, you can probably tell which one right here that has the drop down, we cannot. So when we cannot use the wage bracket method, we do have to use the percentage method. Percentage method has more calculations in it, so I thought we would just step through a few of these together so you can see the calculations. Okay, so our first employee, we have Acorn, single with 2 allowances. Gross wage is $675 weekly, and we want to calculate the amount of federal income tax to be withheld using both percentage and wage bracket method. Now, me personally, I think it's easier because I use Excel a lot, that for me to type this information up into an Excel chart or Excel table to do all my calculations. So I'm going to show you my math here in a minute. But we know using the percentage method, the first step is we have to look up their withholding allowances. So we have a gross pay of $675, but we want to look up how much is going to be taken out for those number of allowances. So just to kind of show you here is the table of allowances. Again, this is based on 2018 tax data. And again, for this employee, they are a weekly with 2 allowances. So I take the $79.80, that's per allowance. So for this person, they get 2 weekly allowances, 79.80. So $79.80 times 2 will be taken out of their gross pay to get the amount that we will look up in the percentage tables. So once I calculate that, let me show you what I did. So here I have a nice little Excel table. So for this individual, they are paid weekly. The allowance value is $79.80. I multiplied it by their 2 withholding allowances to get a total withholding of $159.60. I then got I called it taxable income. It's really the amount we're looking up in the percentage method tables. So I'm going to look up $515.40, and I got that by taking the weekly pay, the $675, minus the total allowances. So always step 1 is to calculate the amount that we're going to look up in the percentage method tables. So it's really not the taxable income amount, but well, it is. We're looking at the full gross wages minus the total allowances. So I just went with taxable income. So when I go to look up taxable income, you are going to pull up the percent tables here. So the first one you'll see, table 1 is for weekly, and this individual is weekly. And we're also looking for a single person, okay? Again, the amount that I'm looking up is the gross minus the total allowance. So I'm looking at $515.40. And that's where the rest of my numbers are coming from. So I'm looking at that this person goes in the range of, they make over $254 a week, but not over $815. And so that $515.40 falls into that category. So when they do, the amount of income tax to withhold is $18.30 plus 12% of any pay over $254. So what I want to do is, well, I know my base tax is the $18.30. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is calculate the extra or the excess. So I'm going to take their $515.40 minus the 254 to figure out how much excess tax they need to withhold at that 12%. Okay, so I took 515.40 minus 254 times 12%. You can kind of see my calculation here. So 515.40 minus 254, get an amount, times that 12%. Okay, so this person will have to pay $18.30, that base amount, plus that 12% over 254. So $18.30 plus $31.37. So for this individual, using the percent method, their income tax withheld for this week is $49.67. Okay, $49.67. So again, I find it more useful to track things and use formulas. I know everyone's different, and if you're not comfortable in Excel, you can definitely write it down. The steps are up here as well for using both the percent method and for the wage bracket method. So, these are the same steps that I followed. So you can definitely do this out on scrap paper by hand using your calculator, however you're comfortable, but just make sure you write down your intermediate calculations, because if you get the wrong answer and you go back, you don't want to have to redo the whole thing. You could trace back and see which step you were wrong on, okay? With the wage bracket method, again, it's a little bit different. Here, again, we have a single person with 2 withholdings being paid weekly. So when I look on the wage bracket method, I have tables. And this person, again, is single weekly, so I make sure I'm on the right table. Single person's paid weekly. And I need to look and see where the pay range falls. And again, this person's pay was 675 weekly. So 675 weekly. 675. So I need to be over here. And so when I look that up, 675 would be on this line here. So this person makes at least 670 but less than 680 with 2 withholdings or 2 exemptions, allowances. So that returns 50. Okay, so I'm on the line between 670 and 680. That's my row. My column there is column 2 for withholding allowances. So their wage bracket method is going to return a federal income tax withholding of 50. Okay. You'll notice these are pretty close. The wage bracket method is really just rounding up. It's pretty close though to the percentage method. So percentage method is also a little more precise as far as decimal placement and pennies, cents that we're dealing with. So most people use percentage method, it's just more accurate. For the next employee, P. Fogue is also single with 1 allowance this time, and they're paid $1,960 weekly. So we're really using the same tables and the same information here. So for this person, if I am looking at the percentage method, they have 1 allowance, $79.80. So I take that off their weekly pay, $19.60 minus the $79.80. So I'm going to look in my tables for $1,880.20. Well, again, if you pull up those tables, you'll see kind of where I got the information I returned. So we're still dealing with weekly single person, only now they're falling in this range of making over $1,658 a week, but not more than $3,100. So I looked up the 1,880. The low range was the 1,658. The base amount of tax is $271.08. And then I know anything that this person makes over $1,658, I need to add an additional 24% tax to. So I did those calculations just like I did on the first person. So the base amount, $271.08, and then I took 1880.2 minus 1658 and took 24% of that. So their extra or excess tax is $53.33 plus the $271.08 So they're using the percent method. Their total, their total FIT or federal income tax withholding is $324.41. Okay. 324.41. Now, if you go to try to look this up in the wage bracket method, if you scroll down, it tells us $12.90 and over, use table 1A for a single person. Well, table 1A is the percent method. So using the wage bracket method, that only works on wages up to $1,289 really. So we cannot use the wage bracket method for this individual. So we must use the percent method. So I wanted to kind of illustrate that. I just wanted to do a couple to kind of walk you through. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you're just going to keep looking them up. So for Phelps, for example, just pay attention to when they're paid. So for percentage method, for Phelps, this person is married and paid biweekly. So just make sure you use table 2 for a biweekly payroll period, and then you use table 2B because they're also a married individual. Okay, so then you'll follow the same guidelines. So just make sure when you're using this percent method that you're not only on the right pay scale, weekly, biweekly, semi-monthly, monthly, but you're also choosing A, single person, or B, married person. As long as you're looking those up, you should be okay. And just don't forget to calculate out your allowances. So this person has 6 allowances and biweekly. So I, of course, would want to go into my table of allowances, which I think I must have closed, I'm sorry, and click it back here. So for this person, again, we have biweekly, married, 6. So biweekly gets 159.6 per allowance. So this person gets 6 allowances, so 159.6 times 6. Take that off first before you look up the percentage tables. So the table of allowance values is only for the percentage method. Okay. So again, you can calculate the rest of that. And I'm going to move on to the second example. The second example is actually doing grossing up. So what that means is a grossing up sounds gross, but it's really not, is when a company decides that they want to give some employees a specific bonus a check amount. So they want their take-home pay to be a certain amount. In this example that we're seeing in the yellow here, they want to actually give Donna D'Amico $4,000 check. So in order to do that, they have to kind of work backwards to figure out what the gross amount would be and still take out federal income tax and then both our FICA taxes, Medicare and Social Security. So we have to kind of work backwards for that formula. So your formula is always the gross amount, the take-home amount, and then divided by 1 minus the supplemental withholding rate, which you'll use for, all of these grossing up problems will use a supplemental withholding rate of 22%. So you don't have to calculate their specific withholding rate. And then minus the 0.062 for Social Security and minus the 0.0145 for Medicare. So in this example, we have Damerly Company wants to give a holiday bonus check of $250 to each employee. They want the check to be $250, so we need to gross up the amount to get the right amount for the bonus to withhold all of the correct taxes. So we have calculated the withholding taxes and the gross amount of the bonus to be made to John Rowland if his cumulative earnings for the year are $46,910. Besides being subject to Social Security and federal income tax, a 5% Utah income tax must be withheld on supplemental payments. Okay, so we know our take-home check, we want it to be $250. We just need to know what the gross amount needs to be and then calculate all of our withholdings. So this is what it would look like. 250 is the take-home amount. I am going to divide by 1 minus the 0.22 supplemental withholding rate minus 0.062 for Social Security because he hasn't hit any limits, minus 0.0145 for Medicare tax, and minus 0.05 for the additional Utah 5% income tax. So I take 1 minus all 4 of those withholdings to get 0.6535. So I take 250 divided by 0.6535, and you'll see I get a gross amount, a gross bonus amount of 382.56. Okay. So that's how much I'm going to make my gross bonus amount check. And then I just calculated my withholdings. Okay, so I took 22% of that to get the federal income tax withheld. And I'm going to put these in as a minus, so minus 84.16. And then OASDI, I took 382.56 times 6.2%, get 23.72. For the high tax, 382.56 times 1.45%, minus 5.55. And then for the Utah income tax withheld, the state tax is 5% of 382.56, $19.13. So in order to be able to give John Rowland a check for $250, the net check amount, the net pay of $250, we would need to cut the check, or not cut the check, calculate the amount, the gross amount as $382.56. Then we are able to withhold the federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and income tax for Utah. Okay, so that's what we call grossing up a check. And this is pretty common. We actually get that here, where they want to give us like a Christmas stipend or a holiday stipend or something like that, and they want the take-home pay to be a certain amount. So this is how the payroll department is able to process that, so we all get the same take-home check. Oops, sorry, my computer is acting weird and keeps giving me that message today. Okay, so that's grossing up to get a bonus amount or some kind of supplemental pay. So we're always just going to use a 22% supplemental withholding rate for the federal income tax. Last but not least, I wanted to go over this example just because it's a little different. You know, here we have Julie White-Whaler made $930 this week, so $930 is her gross pay. Social Security and federal income taxes are attached to her pay, and that's it. She also contributes $100 each week to her company's 401k plan and has $25 put into a health savings account that's non-qualified. Okay? Her employer matches this $25 each week. Okay? So our employer puts in $25 as well. Well, if you remember from Chapter 4 reading, what we do as far as taxable income here is that the $25 that she puts into her health savings account is non-qualified. So it is non-tax deductible. So it will be considered part of her gross pay and it will be taxable income. However, the $100 that she's contributing to her company's 401k plan, that is not taxable as far as federal income taxes are concerned. Okay, so that is the difference here. Okay, so we will not consider the $100 taxable for federal income tax. But if you remember from Chapter 3, those 401k contributions are subject to FICA taxes. So her full $930 will be taxable as far as Social Security taxes, okay? So we do have to consider that. The employer match of $25, that's not included in this $930 that she made, and it's non-taxable. An employer match is non-taxable. It is a qualified match. So we don't have to worry about that $25 employee match or employer match. So the gross pay is $930. We know she contributes $25 to HSA, so we know we need to subtract that out. And we know she contributes $100 to her 401k. So again, we need to calculate Social Security tax, OASDI and HIE. Well, when I do that, I'm going to use the full 930. Okay, so her Social Security OASDI is a minus 57.66. And then 930 times 1.45%. Her high tax is a negative 13.49, rounded. Okay. Well, then it says determine White Willer's take-home pay if she is single and claims 2 allowances. Use the wage bracket method. Well, at least the wage bracket method is a little easier. However, we are going off of, for federal income tax, again, that $100 that she's contributing to her company's 401k is non-taxable. So her taxable income for federal income tax, I would take 930 minus that 100. So we are going to look up $830 of wages on our tax table. And she is single with 2 allowances, single with 2 and 830. So what I want to look at, it says the wages are at least 830, but less than 840. Okay, so she actually falls into that range. Don't use the 820 to 830. You're going to use the 830 to 840 because her wages are at least 830. So 830, I'm on single and weekly. 830 with 2 allowances, her tax is 69. Okay, so minus 69 for her federal income tax. So then I just calculate her net pay. Well, the full 930 in gross pay minus 25, minus 100, minus 57.66, minus 13.49, minus 69. Her net pay for the week, $664.85. So again, to recap, our gross pay is 930. All 930 is subject to OASDI and high tax. But for the federal income tax, we would take out her weekly contribution to her 401k. That is a non-tax contribution, so it is tax deductible. I subtract it out, and then we look up in the wage bracket method tables $830 of taxable income to get the minus 69. Okay, so I think those were some of the questions in Chapter 4 that are a little tricky. So I thought we would go over those, relatively quickly. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or call me or come see me in my office, and we can go over Chapter 4. Hope you have a great week.